right, folks, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Maiden Voyage in our new studios. Next week, I'm going to go around the studio with a camera and show you the TV studios we're building, the radio studios we put together, and everything we're doing here. And I want to commend my team with everything else we've been doing, with a very limited staff, already doing the job of 100 people. Literally doing the job that 100 people probably couldn't get done with just a few people. They've also built the studio, set it all up in the last few months. So here we are, and I'm thankful for folks that have joined us today for the next hour. The Maiden Voyage here. Right now we're streaming over prisonplanet.tv for the viewers and, of course, people listening on the web at Infowars.com. And then later today we'll post this file up on prisonplanet.tv for everybody. And we're going to expand the show. I'm going to be able to put up maps on the screen with a pad where I can, draw and get into geopolitical issues, or where I can show documents on screen and circle key subsections so you can be seeing what I'm seeing when I'm on the radio, when I'm on TV, what I'm covering. In the future, we're going to load most of the top stories into the computer where we can put those on screen for you as well. Like if I cover this article right here out of Bloomberg today, I won't just be holding it up and showing it to you. We'll put it up on screen. Fed refuses to disclose recipients of $2 trillion in lending. Now, it's $8.5 trillion now, but when the lawsuit was filed 5-6 weeks ago, it was only $2 trillion that had been stolen. And they won't even answer questions on that. So in the future, we'll be posting that up on screen for you as well, and then I can circle key comments and key statements that are in the article. Also, we have a story here I want to go over today some with everybody, and that is out of the Financial Times of London. And it says, Manila reports Ebola virus in pigs in Manila. Now, this is a huge issue because the Philippines produces its own pork. They bring in their breeding stock out of Europe and out of the United States. They haven't brought any pigs in from Africa. And, of course, this has always been something that humans would contract and some other primates like monkeys and apes. Now, we've seen a lot of the eugenicists saying they're hoping for an airborne Ebola to kill humans and wipe out 90% of the world's population against everybody. So we're going to be going over this report for everybody as well, because this is just coming out of nowhere. And the last time we saw this type of situation break out on a farm, break out in agriculture, it was in England in 2000 when the British government admits that someone inside their organization got into the level 4 bioweapons lab and went out as a rogue and spread it all over the country. And they killed, 4 million cows, 8 million sheep, and decimated many of the farms and sheep production facilities. And so we look to the government again carrying this out. We know that Ebola was a biological weapon developed back in the 60s. It popped up by United Nations and World Health Organization and U.S. weapons labs in Africa, and is clearly a bioweapon being tested for depopulation measures. And to have this show up in pigs is just off the charts insane. So we'll be going over some of that report for you today as well. We're also waiting for Aaron Dykes to arrive back. Or to call in. In fact, bring Rob in here. Rob was the last person to talk to Aaron. As part of NORTHCOM and the Army and the Marines conditioning the public to accept armed troops on the streets, they're sending troops into the schools to brainwash the children. They are running checkpoints around the country, and they're going out to automobile accidents, helping people in wrecks to, again, condition the public of, oh, it's okay to have the Army on the streets. They're here to help with wrecks. They're here to give toys to needy children. This is all part of the conditioning. And Aaron went up there, and one of our other reporters was up there earlier, who just happened to run into it, who has done some reports for us in the past. And the Marines got on the phone with me, and the sergeant on air knew who I was, but then wouldn't talk to me anymore. And then they went and told security outside the Toys R Us in a parking lot with radio stations out there doing promos, so it was supposedly a public event, to kick him off the property. So we sent Aaron and Derek up there a few hours ago to see what was happening, and we have not heard back from them yet. Hope they weren't arrested for daring to ask questions in America. Also, speaking of the military, Secretary of Defense Gates last week in the Associated Press put out a PR piece saying, yes, we're hiring a lot of foreigners and bringing them in to be part of the military. But they spun it and said it's for linguists and for people to be able to protect the homeland. And that's a cover story. Certainly that's part of it. The main force is illegal aliens that they're legalizing. The largest Army recruiting center, Marine Corps recruiting centers are no longer in the United States. They are in the Manila, Philippines, speaking of Manila, and, of course, in Mexico City, Ukraine, and places along those lines. So with the classical tyranny of a government that wants to oppress its people, bringing in foreign troops and then integrating them into the total force. And I'm seeing this propaganda everywhere without even looking for it on the news, on television, in newspapers, about how we need to have foreigners to make up our force. And I saw this in the Austin Chronicle, which is more propagandistic than even the daily Austin American Statesman. And it talks about this wonderful Palestinian man and just how great he is, and how he was not a U.S. citizen, but after he joined the military, they allowed him to become a U.S. citizen. So lots of PR humanizing the fact that our military is being made up of foreigners. Am I against somebody who's a U.S. citizen who lives here, who's Palestinian or who's German or who is Ukrainian or British being part of our military? No. But the point is that they're doing it when they're not legal U.S. citizens. They're giving them green cards. They're taking illegal aliens and giving them green cards. And then after a few years of service, they're giving them, basically as mercenaries, U.S. citizenship. And they're propagandizing the public, conditioning the public that all of this is acceptable and that all of this is a great thing. And so they're easing it into the public. You know, we always wondered, how would they hire the foreign troops a decade ago plus when the Pentagon said they wanted to use foreign troops against the American people? And now we're seeing how they're doing it. Also, earlier this year, back in January of 2008, the Toronto Star and other papers reported that a secret deal was signed by the United States, Canada, and Mexico to use each other's troops, to use Mexican and American troops in Canada, to use Canadian and Mexican troops in the United States, to use Canadian and U.S. troops in Mexico for terrorism and, quote, to defend the homeland. And we also see an Associated Press article reporting that they're hiring illegal aliens to work as police officers in police departments. So Stalin brought in foreigners to oppress people. The British brought in foreigners to oppress the colonies. This is seen over and over again. And then you also have the hundreds of thousands of mercenaries, no longer Blackwater USA. It's now Blackwater Worldwide. They're international in scope. They're signing weird deals with the Vatican. They are to patrol the streets of America. They've also been in the L.A. Times, photographed raiding medical marijuana facilities. So we're also seeing Blackwater involved in that, a lot of really serious, bizarre behavior. And of all places, Bill Moyer's program a few months ago on PBS had guests on talking about Israeli troops, Blackwater and Mexican troops, and other foreign troops that were in New Orleans taking part in the operations in the gun confiscation. I mean, this is all really happening. And as if that isn't bad enough, I learned 12 years ago that out of the minimum security federal prison in Bastrop, Texas, just outside of Austin, that they were hiring people to join the military, commuting their sentences if they would join the military. Now the Washington Times, the Associated Press have reported since then that actually there's a huge program recruiting violent aggravated felons. And a aggravated felon means something violent, rape, robbery, armed robbery. In fact, the news has listed they're hiring arsonist. They're hiring a rapist for the military. So they're bringing in a pack of rogues, huge throngs of foreigners to carry out all of these operations. I do want to give out the toll-free number if you're watching at prisonplanet.tv. We're also going to put that up on screen for people that are watching prisonplanet.tv, the toll-free number to call in. But if you're listening on the InfoWars and prisonplanet.com free audio streams that are there of this show, let me give it out to you verbally, audibly, so you can hear it, not just on the screen. 888-201-2244, 888-201-2244. And we're going to open those phone lines up in just a moment. We can just open the computer system up to take calls, and literally 20, 30, 40 will come in seconds. In the past, when we've done special audio reports and prisonplanet.tv pieces, separate from being hooked up to Genesis. Now, of course, starting next Monday, I am going to be live in studio here for the full 4 hours, and several hours of that will be live at prisonplanet.tv. And all of that is a beta test for taping a television program in here and taping television programs in the new TV studio we're building.